You guys fucking ready for some fucking mail call? You guys ready to fucking... Calm down, Dave. It is the day after trade event day thing. I don't want to call it trade day because in Tampa Bay we do what's called a trade day. Used to be almost once a month that we keep them up, but quarantine and all that stuff. Flea markets have been shutting down around Tampa, like left and right. Last 2 years, we lost 2 major ones. Another one's on the way out. Just got bought by some major realtor. So things are changing. I'm sure wherever you're from, guy, I'm sure you're feeling it too. Doesn't really affect me much though, because people shop on the internet. I sell games on the internet. But yesterday had a mini meetup here just to keep the homies, the regulars, rolling with the trades. They were feeling it. They needed it. I think we took like 4 months off because of that quarantine. So let me throw this out real quick. Tampa Bay Trade Day on YouTube. Just search that. 4 words, Tampa Bay Trade Day. And I just created a channel and I uploaded a little bit of footage from the day yesterday, but I barely captured anybody who came. Probably only got a third of people. It was kind of later into the evening when I finally realized, like, shit, I haven't done any filming. So missed a lot of good stuff, but also didn't have Devin show up. Saw Devin commented on a video, one of my recent videos. He's the god, by the way. You might want to change his YouTube name, because I'm giving him that shout out. He's the local legend, mega reseller of like high-end video games and cool stuff. But yeah, he didn't show up. Not mad at you, Devin. I sound mad, I'm just tired. I understand, man. I didn't really let you know until last second. But yeah, Tampa Bay Trade Day. Check it out. I'll do more filming of events and stuff, and try to be less of me and more of the people and what they have to show and say about stuff, and just education, information, good stuff. I feel like a lot of collectors get into this hobby and you don't necessarily have a local community, so you don't have any, and your friends and family might not be into video game collecting. So pretty much just got to tune into like content that talks about hidden gems and shit to learn. But yeah, if I can capture some of the locals and have them share their wisdoms about certain libraries or whatever they're into, collectively there's tremendous knowledge in the Tampa Bay area, so I'll try to get that out there. Check that out. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's open some mail. The thing with all the mail calls, as always, is you can have a quality takeaway, because what's going on here is I'm planning on making money with these titles. However, I didn't score these for nothing. These wasn't some soccer mom came into the store and I ripped her off, which is really unethical. If you're a video game store and you sell a $25 game for $40, when somebody brings it to you, you only give them $5. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You deserve to fail. And it's not like you're a bad person. You're just dumb and you're gonna fail because somebody else is gonna step in and do a better job, and then you'll fail. You'll lose business. So, what am I saying? Mail call. I'm gonna try not to show my address in any of these packages, but I will say, like, I score these games on the cheap compared to. I feel like I could immediately make my money back if I were to list them and try to squeeze a little bit more, top dollar, if you will. So, like, for example, I think I paid less than 10 shipped for this game. Look this one up. Time Ace. Very scarce. Looks okay. Doesn't look like it. Tons of fun, but for what it is, man, Konami Time Ace looks great. Galarian's Ash. Wish that had the manual, but paid around $10 for it. Not bad. It's like 3 a.m. right now, so playing chess all day, to be honest with you. So I took it easy, napped a lot, played a lot of chess, and kind of melts the mind. So I'm not at my wittiest, not at my most charming. Just doing some gay ass mail call. Less to think about if I don't have to remember what I paid for this stuff. So just running it by you guys. Probably around whatever price charting says for CIB. If it's missing manual, I got it for probably half of that. Just solid quality titles that I want to have. I want to have for when Metal Jesus touches them. That one's nothing really too special about Turtles Smash Up, but if you're really into Smash Brothers and you can't get enough Smash, you want something different, it's like a Smash Bros clone. I use it for lots really well with Brawl and Cartoon Network Explosion, I think it's called. That one gets some love from various YouTubers. I think, man, who shouted that one out? I think Reggie did, and I think I know what's his name, Mark from Classic Game Room. Not Mark, but his buddy. The dude that sounds like he's 15 years old. He's probably like 35. Really likes that game. I like his taste too. That dude from Classic Game Room, CGR Undertow, dude. A lot of times when I'm looking up gameplay on titles, if there's a CGR Undertow review, I'm checking it out. You know, that's like a quality opinion. That matters too. Like, some people just have finer taste in games. Connoisseurs, I call them, of video games. Their opinions matter more than some idiot Eric Landon RPG. Some fucking pervert Eric Landon. And I hear this one's great. Never played it. Good game, but really hard to find on GameCube. Complete GameCube full settings are becoming more and more of a thing. So between the full setters, I want to just check it out their list, and people that also want to play the game, it's going to keep demand, supply and demand imbalance. I feel so. It's all right. Way the Samurai. It's okay. Not that rare though. Nothing so far has been too exciting. It's also important if you're buying stuff on eBay and putting it right on the shelf, so you're not buying it because you're anxious to play it. As soon as you get it, you pop it in your PlayStation or whatever. If that's not the case, and instead you throw it on the shelf, always want to check, of course, your disc condition, everything else condition, of course. Sometimes your manuals can be more beat up than they look on the surface, you know, or writing on the inside. Pretty unusual, but I don't know. Main advice though is like check those discs for really disc rot. You know, if you have an eye for it, dents in the disc, curved edges. Resurfacers can do that. Shitty JFJ machines can do that, where just the way the light reflects off the disc, you can see that it's almost like curled on the edges of the disc, and that can be a very bad sign. Oftentimes that game isn't going to boot, just straight up won't boot, or it'll of course freeze somewhere in the game. That's just because of a shitty machine doing an uneven job. It'll look nice and pretty, but curled edges, no bueno. Yeah, so Obviously, there's a return window. Always mark your item does not work, defective. If you say any other reason, like I'm not satisfied, you might automatically get denied your return opportunity. Also, a little tip, because I got robbed over a decade ago on a sealed Panzer Dragoon Saga. I paid like $250 for signature mail, and I signed for it. I was in the Air Force, so like I had to like take a note up for my PO box, and and then they give you your parcels, and this motherfucker like didn't even ask me really, or didn't give me the opportunity to be like, what the hell's going on here, like just a bubble mailer that weighed nothing, and signed for it. And I signed my fate that very moment. Sealed Panzer Dragoon Saga. I couldn't win the dispute because I signed for it. So takeaway there is, if you have signature confirmation, it's a real pricey item coming in. I don't give a fuck about your postman's, deadlines and route that he's got to do, how many packages he has to deliver. He stands there while you cut open that package, inspect your item, sign for it after you're satisfied. You have the right to do that. That's how it's supposed to be. They won't tell you that, and for good reason, So often it's just like, yeah, sign here, and I gotta fucking go. But be careful. Be careful. You got something pricey on the way. There you go. That's some good wisdom. It'll save you lots of money at some point in time. Maybe in all realms of ordering stuff in the mail, not just video games. Let me talk real quick. Should get this dip out of my mouth. Nah. Keep it in. Oh, excuse me. Vampire Reign Altered Species is kind of makes me think of one of my favorite games that I jerk off to, called Deadly Premonition. As far as a game that, if you look at it for its mechanics and its gameplay, it's definitely average, below average, kind of a busted game. But if you're into it for the story and just the characters and I guess the environments, the world that's created here, can't really get this experience with another game. It's kind of a unique, interesting one. Pretty damn hard to find on PS3. 360 had a much larger print run. It's actually made by the same company that did Way of the Samurai, by Acquire, the developer. Let's see if it says that. Acquire, look at that. Dave knows his shit. Good one if you're a PS3 collector. It does come with a poster, and I advise like paying all day long, pay $5 extra if you're looking at a CIB without poster, $5 more for CIB with poster. Grab the one with the poster. It'll behoove you in the long run. Talked about this before. Good one. Sequel to 18-wheeler, only on PS2. Love that shimmer, yeah? Look at that. Very pretty. Blocking the Sega here. Gotta Google on that off. Sexy, sexy Sega. Boojin Gay. For Boojin Gay guys. Look at that. Game is Boojin Gay. Red Entertainment. Cool one. Seeing it pop up pretty often though, so I can't really say it's damn rare, but I don't think you see it too often out and about. I think y'all will agree. Kind of on a Game Boy kick for looking out for titles that full set guys are going to be struggling to find, because they'll always have like cartridge and label standards. Guys going for full set Game Boy, card only, which is going to become more and more of a popular thing, as I think CIB will. I think more and more people are going to start giving up and selling their CIBs, because CIB Game Boy is just damn near unobtainable. Be the wealthiest guy in the world, and like some titles you have to wait 5-10 years before they'll surface. It's that nuts for CIB Game Boy. But Loose Cart, just it's perfectly it's just a perfect challenge, I would say, for experienced collectors. experienced collectors probably started targeting CIB, cool console games, NES, SNES, attacking those libraries, and eventually you get so much stuff on your shelves. And if these are, your YouTube type collectors that love the backdrop, love having all this stuff, don't want to sell it, they eventually start looking at Game Boy, and I feel like it's picking up. They'll have all their Kid Draculas. They might have some CIB Mega Man games that are heavy, pricey, nice collection pieces, but I think eventually they'll look at it and be like, I'm gonna go for it, man. It's a fun challenge. So many of those games will be like never surface, might be $50-$60 weird games on Game Boy, and those are the kind of games you'll find at a pawn shop for like $1 or $2. So Thrill of the Hunt, I think Game Boy is very attractive for people that miss the thrill of the hunt. Experienced guys that want to get back into scoring rare games for cheap. So Bubsy 2 was only like $10. Check it on eBay, man. There's like none. Doesn't surface hardly ever. So, and again, cart tarnishing on Game Boy is so common. Don't know why NES carts don't behave the same way as the plastic and Game Boy carts, but they're different. They clearly are. I feel like my theory is any amount of UV light exposure for just a little bit too long will start to tarnish them. So that could be even in your household where it's not sunlight, it's just lighting. So they need to be like closet kept, drawer kept to look this nice. And of course labels will not always be torched. It's a lot of times you'll find minty, just shimmery labels, but again, spotty, yellow tooth, disgusting looking cartridges because of UV light. So definitely want to take condition into consideration when you're paying for a hard to find Game Boy game. If value matters to you, if you do look at it like I'm going to enjoy it, collect it, and definitely want to one day sell it to people that want to pay up for it, go with nicer condition. Especially now, WADA's going to start harping on that. WADA will eventually write a price guide. That would be a very powerful thing for them to have the respect as the video game authority to write their own price guide. Of course, that's insider trading type shit. It's where like all their homies that support them big time financially are already loaded up on stuff, and then WADA writes the book to tell everybody what it's worth. And they want it to turn into more of like a coin collecting kind of thing. Would love to have this topic for Game Dealer Talk with Chris, because he's extremely knowledgeable with the coin market. Not just like knowing which coins are worth money, but like knowing collector behavior, knowing what's very liquid when it becomes uncirculated condition, super nice, how much the value can go up and still be sellable. And at the same time, like just a rough one to check off the list can be so common and so unvaluable. Video games are going to start doing that. Not much to say here, just good deals. Gonna have to check this. Good deals for titles that will probably just keep climbing. People on their horror kicks want to scratch something off the list while they wait for Kuon and Rule of Rose to come down in value, while they patiently hold out to find those. Start picking up Siren and Obscure the Aftermath and Clock Tower 3, that kind of stuff. The Thing. Ooh, wish I had more of these. This one kind of jumped in price on me, so it's less appealing to go for. But if I can get it for 20 or less, feels like no manual in here, so. Oh yeah, this one was cheap. I think I got this for like under 10. But just a real entertaining kind of Quentin Tarantino-like video game. Made by Suda51. So I'll always describe Suda51 as kind of a Quentin Tarantino of video games. Doesn't mind being raunchy, if you will. Not that I'm easily offended, but over the top sexual style and blood and gore and language. So he's an edgy Asian. Suda 51. He's an edgy Asian. He makes good shit. Whereas like Kojima's a visionary. He's a prophet. He's a shaman. He predicts the future. And Swery 65 is spiritual, man. He's spiritual. He's a cleric. Genius. All those guys are genius. That's one way to collect games, man. Get into, a lot of you guys already know this, but like, find a game that you absolutely love for whatever reason, but typically like, man, just great characters, great storyline, and high production quality in the video game itself, good graphics, good whatever. Just so basically I'm describing what Metal Gear Solid, and then find out who worked on the game, like who gets the most credit for that game, and that's typically the director of the game, and then follow their works, follow their art, and you'll discover some of your favorite games that way. I think I did. That's all my mail. Okay. What? Is that it? I was expecting a couple others. All right. Really quick, I'll tell you guys, this one is not listed very often and looks really cool. I haven't had my hands on it yet, but looked at gameplay, and it's, if you're familiar with like Rez on Dreamcast and PS2, how that game's really supposed to just put you into a trance, where between the music and gameplay kind of align and put you into a trip, man. Hence the trip, bit trip. But it's like a retro inspired, trippy music rhythm kind of platformer, I think. I don't know. Check it out. But low print and Axis really kind of put in the extra mile there with the double disc, one being a soundtrack. So kind of like that stuff. I can talk about that for just a second. Oh, 1 second. Big difference between companies like, publishers like Working Designs, Xseed, Atlas. Stick with those three. Those are three primo examples. I'll even say Koei. I like Koei a lot for this reason. That reason is humbleness and pride. They have pride and they're humble. They proudly package their games. If you remember when Atlas, really, I consider it like the proving phase of a publisher. And they know they're kind of new. They're getting hip, and they really want to impress their audience, their customers. So what do companies like Atlas do? Look at some of their PS1 games where they put a single disc in a double jewel case. If you ever had a copy of Tactics Ogre or Ogre Battle, Persona, even, like any of them, Rhapsody, single disc, you open up that first panel of the double jewel case, your manual flows with the artwork that's inside of the front panel, the reverse of which is the front cover of the game. Final Fantasy VII does this as well. You know what I'm saying? Show me a prop, Dave. I don't know what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Got an ugly one there. Sexy. It's pretty. That's how you win your audience over and deliver on a fantastic video game too. And slowly but surely you'll brainwash your people into saying, oh, this upcoming Atlas title, I want to get that. And also, when you do your conservative print runs, you're not trying to hype up your audience. Guys, we're only doing 5,000 LRG, all these other LRG clones. If instead you say, you just let it go, don't get greedy. Know what you have invested into the game. These are all Japanese developed games that were, that was the struggle, was developing this game on a budget that's going to turn a profit in Japan. And then when it comes to translating it, localizing it to other regions, PAL Europe, NTSC North American, it's basically just companies bidding on them. That's why like Capcom, Konami, all these publishers will have different developers work, create the game, and they'll publish it. So you might have an IREM published game developed and published in Japan, IREM, and then over in America, Atlas published it, Age Tech published it, and IREM developed it. Not blowing any minds here, I know, but that's how it works, man. They kind of bid on it, and some of these just go pretty cheap. You get the rights, and then they have to put money into voice acting, a little bit of programming, coding, and of course publishing, doing the actual print run. And in North America, that can all be had relatively cheaply, and then they obviously know how much they're going to sell each game for, do a print run to turn a profit. That's how they did it. That's how they do it. They're not playing into some sick addiction that they understand that is called video game collecting, and trying to sell out and sell as many copies to fanatics that see an ESRB logo on a PS4 game and say, I have to have it because I'm trying to own every PS4 game ever made. I have to have it. I'm trying to have every Switch game ever made. No, these companies were, I think they knew what they were doing. They knew that they were establishing a golden brand, and they just stayed humble. Look what it's done for them. They're still around. Xseed, Atlas, Working Designs, of course. Working Designs, I feel like, ahead of their time. And they damn well knew, like on their website back in the day when they were still around, was very personable. I don't know the words, I'm kind of tired, but they cared about their people. Weren't into marketing this stuff as investment kind of stuff. Buy our stuff because you guys know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be collectible. No, stuff's inherently collectible. I think my tangent started with this, but Axis, they've been working on that, of course. Kind of self-aware that collecting communities are going to start worshiping this like it's LRG without them ever having to smear it in your face. I think it makes it a better product. The fact that they never do that. Let me end on that wraps up my publisher love. I'll end on my big pickup from the trade event yesterday. Lots of cool stuff. I'll go over my Super Nintendo too, because that's kind of stunning stuff. If it was 4 or 5 years ago when everybody was chasing SNES, then it would be really exciting stuff. But right now it's really died down to where a lot of the copies that were hunted down, pulled from the wild, not only did they go into collections, but they've since sold out of collections because people said, Super Nintendo is no longer rising in price. I want to sell it up, and I want to go for X, Y, and Z instead. So some of the SNES I'll show you in a sec. It's pretty cool, but it's not roaring or anything. But this is a brand new Sega Dreamcast Sports Edition. Hardly ever get console with controller, like ever, much less CIB, much less BNIB. So that was 550 trade. Traded away lots of quality stuff. And then first the guy wanted 700 trade, and I was just like, nah, man, I don't want to put 700 in quality stuff into one piece that may be a tough sale. But at 550, it's like, yeah, try to maximize and sell it on the best platform possible, which will probably be Amazon. And who knows, maybe close to $1,000 or something like that. As absurd as that sounds, there's just nobody would compete with it. Very rarely would that ever come up for sale. So some filthy rich person would buy it for their kid or something that wants it. As dumb as that sounds, that's how it works. These were my SNES picks. If you watch the Tampa Bay Trade Day video, you'll see the gentleman that had all these games and like 3 times as much or twice as much in total, sprawled out across this table. And these are my cherry picks. He's always really cool with me. Usually wants nice PS1 and PS2 stuff, so I gotta kind of play hardball with him. But he takes care of me with the way he values his stuff and doesn't mind me cherrying off him. Or I kind of mind when he cherries off of me. I might ask that we not do this and that. That becomes pretty normal at these trade events because I have so much stuff. As you guys know, I pay full blown what a lot of these guys would consider retail, and they want it for a deal. So I just can't deal with a lot of stuff that I'm buying, I guess you'd say speculatively. But when Phil brings SNES like this, he basically values it all at 2/3 of sticker price. It's like, fuck, man. 2/3. 40 on a nice Super Metroid. 2/3. 100 on a pretty nice Final Fight 3. One's really hard to find with a nice label. Made in Mexico. Oh, it's made in Japan? Just this label type always gets beat up. It's like a Majesco made in Mexico type of label, even though it says made in Japan. That's interesting. Those will tear so easy. Not like the laminate on a lot of made in Japan labels. Capcom, Konami made in Japan is always pretty tough. But yeah, figure you guys will be familiar with most of these, but I'll point out the ones that are a little bit more obscure, a little bit more likely to go overlooked by somebody, may not know what it is. This is a pretty solid shoot 'em up. Not sure if it's made by Compile, forget, but it plays a lot like, I forget if even Compile do Space Megaforce and what's the other shmup? Musha? I forget, man. I'm tired and I need to refresh. I should do my homework. But it's kind of Musha like. Imperium.